Now let's start looking at some of the important methods in string class. The first method is length, which returns the length of the string through which this method is called. Next one is char at index, which will return you the character in a string at a specified index. Here character at index 2 in string Java will return you v. We have a method GetCash, which has the arguments starting index, ending index, the target array in which the characters would be stored, and the position in the target array. Let's look at the example. Here source is a string with value I am learning strings in Java. The start index is 5 and end index is 13. Always remember that the end index which we specify would be exclusive, that is, it is not included. In this case, the start index would be 5 in a string and ending would be at 12th index. Here 5 will be L and position 12 would be G. So learning is a string that would be stored in this buffer and it is printed at the output. Here 0 is specified at the position in this buffer. So learning would be stored from the first position in this character array. Let's look at some of the string comparison methods. We have already looked at the equals method, which compares the string with the given object. Also we have equals ignore case, which compares the object, that is a string object, with a string where the case is ignored. Let's look at the example. Here S1 and S2 point to the same string literal hello on the string pool. S3 will point to a string object hello, which will be stored on a heap, and S4 points to a string literal hi. Here the contents of S1, S2 and S3 are same, that is, it is hello. So S1 equals to S2, S2 equals to S3 and S3 equals to S1. These all would return you true. But S1 equals S4 or anything compared with S4 would return you false. We have a comparison operator which checks the reference variables, that is, if two reference variables are pointing to the same string object, and we have seen this in earlier examples. But again we will look at this. String str1 and str2 are pointing to the same string literal hello. str3 is pointing to a string object hello stored on the heap. Now str1 equals to str2 will return you true, whereas str1 equals to str3 would return you false, because str1 is a string literal which is stored on a string pool, and str3 is a string object stored on the heap. We have the method starts with and ends with, which will check whether the given string starts with a given particular string as the argument. Here Java language starts with Java, so result is true, and Java language ends with age, and this will also return you a true value. We have a compare to method which compares two strings. If two strings are equal, then output is 0. If str1 is greater than str2, that is str2 which is passed, then it returns a positive value, or else it will return you a negative value. Now in this case, str1 compared to str2 will return you 2 because both are same, and str1 compared to str3 returns 1 because str1 is greater than str3, and str3 dot compared to str1 will return you -1. Now let's look at some of the string modification methods. We have a substring which accepts the index and starting and index and starting and end index. A concat method we have seen which concatenates two strings, and a replace method with char arguments or char sequence arguments would replace the particular character with a character, or a character sequence with the character sequence. And the last method is a trim, which trims the leading edges of a given string. Now let's look at this example. Here we have a string Java programming language. So its substring from fifth index would be 0, 1, 2, 3, 4. The substring from fifth index would be programming language. Substring from 5th to 16 would be programming because Z is at position 15. Now Python is concatenated with str1, and str1 is programming language. So output would be Python is a programming language. Now we are calling a replace method on str3 where capital P is replaced by capital J. So Python is also a programming language, will be displayed as JYTHON is also a programming language. And str3 dot and str3 dot replace character sequence Python by Scala would display the result as Scala is also a programming language. And trim will trim the leading characters from the given string. We have the methods to search the character or a string in a given string, that is index of and last index of methods, which accepts either a character or a string as the argument. The index of and last index of methods with character argument would return you the index of the character either as the first occurrence or the last occurrence of that character. Now str.index of p, the first occurrence is at index 0 and that is at index 8 and it is returned at the output. Index of string independent is at index 14 and this is returned at the output. Similarly, last index of P is at index 21 and it is returned as the output. And last index of string is 33. Also we have two lowercase and two uppercase methods which will change the given string to either to small case or a capital case, that is uppercase. We have a value of method which is overloaded for different data types, which will return you the string representation of the data which is passed. If you look at the example, string value of boolean true will return you a value true which is of type string. Similarly, value of a will display a. Value of 10.20 would display you the string 10.20. Value of 50 integer would return you the string 50 which will be displayed at the output, and similarly for the object it will display you the string representation of the object. Also we have a toString method which returns the string representation of the object, and this will be implicitly called in a print statement. Now this example shows methods like substring with two indexes, concatenation of two strings, replacing the specific character, trim, uppercase and lowercase, and we have a join method which was introduced in JDK 8, using which we can join the different strings with a string as a separator. Here we have a semicolon as a separator, so all these strings would be separated by a semicolon as shown here. And isEmpty method returns you false if the string is not empty and true if it is empty. Now let's execute the examples of the string methods. First we'll look at the equals operator, which will check the references, that is reference variables of string, whether they are pointing to a same string object or not. Here S1 and S2 will point to same object, that is string object Java. So S1 equals to S3 would be true and S1 equals to S2 would be false. Let's run the program and look at the output. So if you look at the output, the first statement would return you false and the second statement returns true. Now let's look at string constructors. This is a default constructor with no value assigned to the string, that is string would be blank. String with a string Java, that is a string object will be created and Java would be stored in it. This will print Java. Here new string will be created with the character array, that is hello, and the statement would print hello at the output. And here we are passing a string variable s3 to this constructor. So again s4 will print capital hello at the output. Now let's look at GetCash method. Here the starting index is 5 and n index is 13. So the substring, that is characters from 5th index to 12th index would be stored in this character array buffer. The output would be learning. This is the example of two lowercase and two uppercase. Here James would be converted to lowercase and uppercase by these methods. Index of method returns the index of a particular string or a character. Here character P is at 8th location, so 8 would be returned. Independent string is it will start at index 17, 17 will be returned here. Last index of P is 21, so 21 would be returned at the output. And the last index of the string is at 33, and 33 would be returned at the output. If you look at the output, all those indexes are displayed. Now let's look at substring method. Substring with index 5 will return you the string from 5th position, that is 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5th index is P, from P to end. This will return the substring from 5th index to index 15, that is 16 minus 1. So this is programming. Here concatenation would concatenate string 1, that is programming language, to the given string. So Python is also a programming language, will be displayed at output. Here capital P is replaced by J, and here the string Python is replaced by Scala, and trim would trim all the leading edges. Now let's look at the string immutable demo. Here string contains hello, and we are concatenating word to this str, but string is immutable, that is the reference variable string would still point to the string hello. Now this statement will print hello at the output. Here str2 is assigned the concatenation of hello with these exclamation marks. So hello with 3 exclamation marks would be displayed at output. Now 1 to 3 is converted to string, get concatenated with str and stored in str3. So hello 1 to 3 would be displayed, and here 1, 2 and 3 would be converted again to their string and converted, and then here 1, 2 and 3 are converted to string and concatenated with str. So str4 will again display hello 1, 2, 3. Now this demo contains all the methods described previously. We'll look at a replace method where small n in a string would be replaced by capital N. So S1 is Sachin Tendulkar, so all small n would be converted to capital N. In JDK8, a join method was introduced which joins the strings with some separator, and the separator here is, we can, if we add comma as a separator, then here the output would be all the strings separated by comma, and is empty will return if the string is empty or not. So result is not empty, so the output would be false. So if you look at the output 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, these strings are separated by comma, and false is returned if we check if that string is empty or not. That's all about the strings in Java. Thank you.